Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I am here today with someone I just met in a mastermind, Mary Glesige. Glesige.
Close.
Yes,
Glesige. That's close.
Glesige. Glesige. And she is here with me today to talk about a very interesting topic that kind of swings back into a book that she is going to be releasing later on this year, Mary.
Yeah. It's supposed to
Okay.
be out by December, January.
Perfect. Well, we're definitely going to have you back on
Thank
before
you.
that happens. But today, I want to talk about a very interesting topic that helped her in her recovery from inflammation, and it is urotherapy, right?
Yes,
Yes.
it is. Yes. It's urotherapy. And I do want to reference Dr. Edward Group, who has a book on this particular topic. And I'll tell you how I first came about this, because this is an ancient technique that goes back to ancient India, ancient Egypt, and also China. And actually, people used to wash their clothes in their urine as well. But how I got into this is that I had studied Ayurveda through the Chopra Center for Wellbeing. And one of my classmates, her name is Kay Rice, told I had all of this problem with the inflammation, and I was kind of guided to call Kay. And Kay told me something very interesting. She had a friend who had severe rheumatoid arthritis, which is another type of inflammation. I did not have that inflammation, and she did. And she basically just about cured herself by drinking her urine every morning. Now, sometimes she was drinking daily. There is a method to this. And I know those of you who are listening are going, oh, I can't believe she said that. But in actuality, it is an ancient therapy that your body gives you medicines. And that's one of the medicines that comes directly from your own body. Um, and in the urotherapy, also is that people in the military are trained to use this therapy when they are in a dire situation, such as men in hot boxes in during the world wars. They would drink their urine, and this is how they survived. And there is a method to this. And the method is that you get up in the morning, first thing in the morning, not in the middle of the night. You have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. That's different. This is when you are ready to start your day. And what you do is you get up and you urinate first, you catch the midstream, then you finish urinating, and then you drink the midstream. It has no smell, it has no taste. I shouldn't say it doesn't have a smell, because mine did smell like popcorn, and but it doesn't have an awful urine type smell, and then it doesn't have a taste really to it, and so you just drink that, and you have to drink it within 15 minutes of the fact that you have done this. You've taken this urine sample from your body. You may have already heard during the sampling from your doctor, because doctors a lot of times now will tell you to gather the midstream when they're doing their urinalysis of you at the doctor's office. But like I said, the military has done this for years and years. I also, you've probably heard about people who have been stuck in avalanches or in like rubbles of a building, and they come out and they've been there maybe a week, 4 days to 5 days a week, and they're still alive. Well, a lot of them know that if you drink your urine, you can stay alive, because it sets your electrolytes, and it also keeps your body nourished. It keeps some liquid going into your body. So it's actually your own natural medicine and that you have with you. So you use it wherever you go, right? I first used it because Kay was telling me that this is what cured her friend who had severe inflammation, rheumatoid arthritis. And she too is writing a book about what happened with her and drinking her urine. Dr. Edward Groot has a program that if you really want to delve deep into this, you can actually become a therapist under his guidance. I have a friend, her name Paula Kavanaugh, who studied with him, and she guides people to this therapy and helping them to understand it. We have a mutual friend, and it actually happens to be her cousin named Donna. And Donna has had seizures all of her life. Well, I should say all of her life, the last 25 years. And she's Paula wanted her to try this. So Donna started doing this, and she hasn't had seizures. Her seizures have almost stopped, and it's been a year. At first, when she started doing it, they went from having two or three seizures a day, sorry, two or three seizures a week to maybe one. And then it would go to maybe once every few weeks. And then it would be a whole month, and she might have one or none. So she's a lot better today, and she is still continuing with this therapy. I use this therapy myself to fight the inflammation in my body with what I had. And I found that I did get better, much better physically with this inflammation, that it helped to curtail that inflammation. And this, like I said, is an ancient concept that I heard about first by studying Ayurveda and being an Ayurvedic practitioner, learning to be an Ayurvedic practitioner. So this is a therapy that you might want to consider trying, but be sure to do it the right way. And then also, there is wound healing. And Donna's husband had a sprained ankle. Wound healing is where you gather your urine for a certain period of time, maybe a day or 2 days. He gathered his urine for a day. He had sprained his ankle. He took some cloths and soaked it in the urine, put it on his ankle, and he could walk the next day. He put it on overnight and soaked his leg overnight in the urine, and he could walk the next day. So it really cured his inflammation from what happened with his ankle. So it is a miraculous therapy. It does come from your body. It's a natural healing process that anyone can try.
I think that is absolutely fascinating. I have read several books on Ayurveda, and I think it is a fascinating thing. I believe in it so much. I have seen a lot of great results personally from it, but I've never heard this part. Is this just something that has become a little bit taboo? Our minds have gotten in
Yeah,
the way and been like, oh no, that's waste. Just get rid of it instead of pulling it back in and using
right.
it because what a what a beautiful thing to be able to utilize something that
Yeah,
you are already producing. But I've never heard of this. This is this like kind of like the outskirts of Ayurveda or something, or is this something
yes.
that's practiced often?
No, it's actually not mentioned a lot because of the reaction that people have to it. It's just briefly mentioned. They didn't focus on it a lot. They just mentioned that it was an ancient therapy that goes back thousands of years. That's kind of all they did. I really didn't learn an awful lot about it until Kay had her friend that she mentioned, and talking to her, and then also talking to Paula, who had studied with Dr. Brooke, and finding out more about it. And you have his book. I've forgotten the name of his book, Healing with Urotherapy. So if you really want to know more about this, I would suggest that you start with Dr. Group's information and his book on healing with urotherapy, and try that and read it, and just be open-minded. You have to be very open-minded to different techniques and therapies that are naturally healing to your body and can help you with inflammation.
Oh, I agree, definitely. I think it's that's just such a very interesting form of alternative medicine that I had never heard about, but I'm definitely going to read up on it just to know how long when you were doing this urotherapy, how long did it take before you started noticing a difference in your body?
I I noticed a difference probably 3 or 4 days.
Oh.
And yeah, it was almost immediate. It was almost immediate. I felt a whole lot better. I seemed to have a little bit more energy, and I didn't hurt as much because I had inflammation all over my body. And also, I used the Ayurvedic technique because I was trained in Ayurveda. And that is another excellent modality to use in following the Ayurveda and understanding the mind body principle, what's called dosha, and then eating foods for your dosha to help you balance out and to help you to get rid of inflammation. So it is another great modality for you to explore. And it has become probably more widely known than it was when I studied Ayurveda, which was about 15, 20 years ago. So there's been a lot more to it. And I studied with also with Dr. Sunil Joshi of Nagpur, India, as well as at the Chopra Center for Wellbeing. So
I think Ayurveda is so helpful to understand. And can you talk briefly about the three doshas? And if no one has ever like gone to an Ayurvedic practitioner and like received their doshas, could you tell us how you can identify which doshas you are? Because you usually are a combination. Well, you're a combination of all three, but you usually do have a little bit more of one versus another, which might be helpful. So can you talk about that a little bit?
most people are bidoshic. They have two. They have a mind principle and you have a body principle. I am what is called a kapha pitta. Pitta is my mind principle. Kapha is my body principle. I'm kind of short and stout like a teapot. I used to laugh about that because I can carry a lot of weight and still look good. Usually, big boned people or medium sized boned people are kaphas. Kapha mentality are the peacekeepers. Some people say that kaphas are slow and methodical, but in actuality, they are the ones that's going to keep the peace in the group. If you have, for instance, I'm a Pitta personality. Well, Pitta means I have a tendency to be a perfectionist. As I've gotten older, I become more of a Vata, and Vata is air. Kapha is earth and fire, and then you have no, earth and water, and then you have Pitta, and Pitta is fire, and then you have Vata, which is air. And so I think Pitta is, I'm sorry, Pitta is also fire, but I think it's also earth. But Kapha is primarily earth. And so I am, like I said, I'm kind of big and round like a teapot. And there's a difference in the mentalities, though, as well as the body types. Normally, a Pitta body type is tall and slender. They're not usually heavy like me. And then you have the petites are more Vatas. A Vata is more a person who's like 5'4", 5'3", 5'4", a petite. As far as their mind principle goes, the Kapha has a tendency to be slow and methodical, but they're the ones who keep the peace because the Pitta is the perfectionist and the Pitta wants to get everything done. So it wants to go from point A to point B. It doesn't see a whole picture, whereas Vata sees the whole picture. Vata is the intellectual, and Vata is often misunderstood because people think that Vatas are stupid, when in fact they probably have the highest IQ in the room. But they come off sometimes to be a little ditzy. Not always, but sometimes to be a little ditzy so they can be misunderstood. But the difference as far as their mind goes is what I learned is that the Vata sees the big picture. The Pitta wants to go from A to B, and then Kapha comes along, and Kapha will say to the Pitta and the Vata, who may not be coming together very well, since one wants to get it done, and one wants to say, wait, and then let's look at the whole picture. So Kapha people, minded people will come along and say, let's take it easy, guys. Let's take a breath. And let's just look at all of the ins and outs. Let's solve this problem amicably. So to me, that is what a kapha-minded person will do, and will help. And that's the difference in those three as far as their mind principle goes. And then as far as their body principle goes, the kapha carries a little more weight. The pitta is more tall and slender, and then the petite ones are more of the vatas. So,
Oh,
and that helps knowing that. Now, there are some people who are tridoshic. What does that mean? That means that they have a balance of all three doshas. They're so close together when you analyze them that they're tridoshic. There are not an awful lot of people like that. I have found more men, in my experience, than women were tridoshic. And that basically is understanding the doshas. Now, when you're out of balance, you have to figure out where you're out of balance, whether you're out of balance pitta wise or kapha wise or vata wise. And that is understanding that imbalance and how that works with you. That takes a little bit of studying, and you need to go to Ayurvedic clinic or seek out someone who does a lot with the Ayurvedic processes. There are many around the country. Dr. Chopra no longer is a practitioner. He doesn't. I believe he gave his medical license up. I may be wrong. He may have gotten it back, but I don't believe he takes patients anymore. And there was also uh, not Crawley, because Crawley does psychology. Vasant Lad. I think Vasant Lad still practices, but I'm not positive to that. And I'm sure that there are a lot more out in the US than there used to be. You didn't have to go to India to do that. And Dr. Sunil Joshi, that I studied with, he used to come to the United States, and he was part of a clinic in Albuquerque, New Mexico, but I'm not sure that he still comes here. He's gotten a little older at his age. He's been practicing Ayurveda now probably for about 60 years. So he's one of the older golden oldies, I would call him to be. But it's a wonderful modality. And if you understand it and understand the eat and the foods and the herbs, because they focus on that. They also focus on the chakras. They also focus on meditation. They also focus on yoga. So it's a whole system of wellness. So it's not just understanding, but you need to understand your dosha to understand what postures you need to use as far as yoga is concerned, particularly if you understand where you're out of balance and how to put yourself back into balance, and then also what foods you should be eating. But I always learn when in doubt, balance vata, because vata will balance all the other doshas if you balance vata. Now, there'll be other people out there who are going to disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine. But this is what I learned, was to do this when you're out of balance, balance vata. So you want to go online and do a vata pacifying diet. So you can actually look it up online now to do that. The other thing in Ayurveda is it's very important for you to be very mindful when you're eating, to commune with your food. A lot of times when we were at the Chopra Center and we were eating, we were not conversing. In the West, we have that as conversation. We have a dinner and we're all talking with this conversation and getting to know each other. Well, community is fine, but understanding that you have food in front of you from the earth and it is nourishing your body. And that is the sacredness. You need to understand the sacredness from the food as well as the sacredness from within yourself, and understand this is all energy. And the other thing to understand is that what is within is without. So if you're looking at your body, your tendons and your bones and your ligaments are the kapha in the body. Okay. And then if you look at the fire, well, the fire we would associate with sun outwards. And then we look at the fire in our bellies, as that is the fire that we have. That is a pitta element. And we take food in to nourish it, so our fire will be ignited and help us to move throughout the day. And then, of course, we have our water element, which is the kapha. Kapha is water and earth. And so understanding that we have 75% water in our bodies, and then we have water out in nature, and then we also breathe. So that would be the vata element. And understanding that we have vata, we have the cells, the air between the cells in our body, as well as breathing the air in our lungs. And so that is our air element. So whatever is in nature is also within us. So there's no separation. It is a oneness. It is coming together and understanding that we are all one, not just together, but with the earth and the elements, that everything you see out is within. So you need to honor the earth. And when you honor the earth and all of her elements, you honor yourself. When you honor yourself, you also honor the earth as well in that concept.
Interesting. So do you think the urotherapy, it was used in ancient Ayurvedic practices as a way to like rebalance all the doshas and that's what they used it for? Or do you think that it was something to help like maintain their health? Do you have to do a like a full Vedic or Vedic detox or reset or anything while you're doing this urotherapy? Or
No,
no?
no,
Okay.
you can just do the urotherapy.
Oh, okay.
They don't talk a lot about it in Ayurveda, but if you look at ancient Ayurveda, you will see pictures of people also have gathered their urine and they were actually washing their clothes in
Hmm.
the urine. So there are a lot of different practices that were used in ancient times to use your urine. I can't go into it. I don't know that about all of the ancient practices, but that's why I recommended that you read Dr. Group's book, because he will explain more to you how it's used in different modalities and different therapies. In Ayurvedic concept, we really did not talk about the urology that much. We talked more about the doshas and understanding the doshas and the foods, and also the herbs and the yoga and the meditation and the chakra systems and the chakra system. And there was one other thing I was going to mention in that with the Ayurvedic concept is that, oh, the herbs are just very, very important that you understand what herb goes and helps your body, and also your dosha, how that all comes together for you. And the other thing that they do in Ayurveda, when I first went in to see, the first experience I had with Ayurveda was with Dr. Sunil Joshi. And they watch what you say. They watch your demeanor. Are you positive? Are you negative? They do a tongue evaluation. They do a pulse evaluation. I could go into Marma points, but I'm not going to go that far into it. But they'll tell you it's very important, your attitude and what you say and how you are positive or negative. They sometimes will give you a little test on how you see things, so that gives them a better viewpoint of where your mental clarity is, or your mental thinking is. So it's a well-rounded system of wellness that I would invite everyone to check out, whether it's online and then find yourself an Ayurvedic physician near you, or you could probably do it online now with an Ayurvedic physician, you know. So check it out. I think you'll find it
Yes,
very interesting, and there's a lot to it.
there's so much to it. I know years ago I read a book about your schedules, and because there's a very set times of day that you should be eating and digesting
Yes,
and resting and
yes,
everything, and there's all kinds of different practices that you can pull into your everyday routine. One of the ones that I did and that I kind of incorporated with our whole family several years ago was tongue scraping, which was hugely beneficial for us. Do you mind telling us the benefits of scraping your tongue each morning when you first wake up?
well, I really didn't do that.
Oh, really?
Script. No, I didn't do that. But what I did do was drink water out of a copper cup,
Oh,
because
yes, I heard
copper
that too.
helps the body, because copper actually is associated also with the thyroid gland.
Oh, okay.
Most
I
people don't
heard,
know that. Most of the people don't know that thyroid is that if you're low in copper, there could be a thyroid problem, and you need to have that checked if you are low in copper too.
now
But
that's interesting.
I never did tongue scraping, but it's supposed to be, yes, very beneficial. But the other thing is that you mentioned the times of day. There are certain times of day for sleeping. There's a kapha time of day, and then there's a vata time of day, and then there is I'm trying to do that, a kapha time of day and a pitta time of day, and a vata time of day. And each section you're supposed to do certain things in, like you're supposed to rest at certain times of the day and eat certain times of the day. That's very true. Then there's also the rhythms, the circadian rhythms within your own body, and understanding the circadian rhythms, also understanding the rhythms of the earth, and also understanding the rhythms of the planet, and how all of this all comes together for you. So,
It's a very intricate system, and there's just so
yeah,
many different things that you can incorporate into your body and everything. And I
yes,
just had never ever heard of urotherapy, but I'm very intrigued now just to like read more about it. I do feel
yeah,
like it's going to be very probably icky for some people, right? Just to
yeah.
think about it, just because of how we have perceived it over the years, but because we
Well,
only think of it as like an extreme situation, right? Like, don't do that unless it's an extreme situation.
well, that's true. However, if you have a clean diet, some medical professionals really frown on this because they say it's a waste. It's not. But if you are if you're doing a very clean diet, Your urine is going to help you. It's going to reset your electrolytes and it's going to help with the inflammation in your body. But I would recommend that you first start with an anti-inflammatory diet if this is part of what you need to do for yourself, and then start the urology therapy after that. But again, please go back to Dr. Group's book. I think you'll find it very interesting.
Yes, definitely. I think it is such a inflammation these days. It's such a big thing that we're just kind of really learning about, and it just affects so many things in our bodies. I know that I just had a knee replacement several years ago from arthritis starting when I was
Wow.
16 years old. And so that would have
Oh,
been really nice, right? To know
yeah,
that there were other options out there, but what you don't know, you don't know. And so it's nice that these things are coming to light and that people are realizing, like, oh, well, I don't just have to do X. I can also look at Y, Z, and Q over here. So this is
right.
just another really
Exactly.
interesting option if you are wanting to, take a different route and see what else is out there.
And your herbs are very important too.
What herbs would you recommend just for like a tridosha diet to start incorporating?
Well, I always recommend garlic,
Mm.
cinnamon, cinnamon, ginger, not all together, garlic and turmeric. And of course, there's the golden tea. So if you want to have a golden tea at night, that's wonderful. It's a combination of ginger, cinnamon, and turmeric. But ginger and cinnamon are very, very good for all doshas. And then also, garlic is an antibiotic. So if you need an antibiotic and you don't have one and you can't get one from the doctor, get yourself some garlic. And then you take a clove of garlic, you mince it up, you put it in a spoon and you follow it. You put it in the back of your tongue. And then you swallow, then you follow with about 8 ounces of water and do that
Oh,
twice a day. You do it twice a day for about 2 or 3 days. Don't do it for long because it will hurt your stomach. So you don't want to do it for very long, just a couple of days. But that will help you if you're sick and
yeah,
need and don't have one.
I love that. I'm definitely going to be using that this winter, I think. Just as a
Yeah.
nice like little immunity boost, right?
Yes.
Um, I know that for the last couple of years, I have been drinking a lot of CCFT, which I feel is very Ayurvedic in nature and has a lot of health benefits. Something I need to probably get back into that's like cumin and coriander and fennel. Quite
Yes.
tasty.
Well, actually, I think chai tea has what I was talking about plus what you're talking about. And that's how you make chai tea from scratch. You use ginger root, cinnamon sticks, um, what else? You don't put turmeric in it, but you put the coriander in it, and you can put fennel in it. There's one more, there's five that you make for chai tea. And if you want to, you can put the turmeric in it. But there's five elements for that. Cloves and cloves. You bring it to a boil, you let it sit overnight. You
Oh,
bring it to, you let, yeah, overnight. Then you bring it to a boil the next morning. You let it cool. Then you put in a teaspoon of vanilla in it, and then whatever milk product you want to make it creamy. And then you strain everything out of it. And then you can drink that throughout the day. That was a chai tea that we had at a lady's house that we stayed with when we went to the Chopra Center, and it was so good we all thought of it. We all fought over the chai tea. It's really good and it's good for you. It has all these wonderful herbs that are good for the body in it.
oh, it sounds delicious. I'm definitely going to try that. I'm sure my kids will love it.
Well, the only other thing I want to say is find out what works for you and do it. Be your own advocate. Find out what works for you and then do it for yourself. Physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Find out what works and take care of yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being on this podcast today, Mary. I really appreciate it. And I'm super excited for your book to come out. I just spoke with Mary for like an hour before we did this podcast, and I have like a whole list of things that I'm like, whoa, this is all this information you have. Like, I have so many questions. So I'm definitely going to be having you back on in the future. I'm so
Well,
grateful
thank
that
you.
you came on today. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for having me. I had a wonderful time and such a great joy talking to you and getting to know you better. So
Oh,
it was
thank
great.
you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Before we leave, can you please let everyone know the title of your book so that we can keep an eye on it when it comes out?
It won't be out, thank you. It will probably won't be out until the end of the year or 1st of January. And it's called Open the Gate, Journey into Synchronistic Healing. It is a memoir by me.
Perfect. All right. Well, I'm definitely going to have you on probably multiple times before that comes out, just
Well, thank
because
you.
it's been so fun. But keep an eye out for that, especially if any of this resonated with you and you have ever dealt with anything like inflammation and you're kind of wanting to have a different point of view. Mary's a fantastic resource. Do you have a website that anyone can go to and check out?
Unfortunately, I took it down several years ago after my husband passed away because I stopped being a practitioner of a lot of these modalities that I have done. And I'm thinking about, I became a transformational coach, and I'm thinking about maybe doing that again. So I might be putting up another website, but right now, no. The only way to get a hold of me is through you.
All right, perfect. Well, let me know and I will reach out to Mary if you're like, I need to know more information before you see her again. So,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you so much for joining me today, and we will see you all later. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.